This meeting is being
All right,
recorded.
and we're gonna share screen. Boom. There you go. Da 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 da. 51. The 51st IWAR Gold Strategy Workshop. I got the timer going. I just want to mention that our last show was our most watched show. It's like 90 plus views, 94, 95, like a week ago. So thanks for everybody for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I don't know why, but if we do it. So this is the preparation for the December gold cycle. And we got our notes here. Lots going on. I'll talk about other stuff at the end of it, but how you feeling about this cycle? Any good guys?
Not as good as last cycle. Last cycle, at the end of the workshop, we had 24 combinations.
Yeah.
We had a 501 inside of that. So we had it right. It's not quite as easy this time. So, but
I think I told you I retained a 6-man and I won a regional, and
I had a 500 TV in the BRL, a 501 regional in the BRL, a 500 league in the BWL.
Yeah.
So I did okay.
It's tough. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you, there's actually 2 cycles left in the year. We go through holiday, and then January starts the year anew.
Oh, that's okay.
So 2 more cycles for me to catch up to Wrestling Demon Drugs.
Now for everybody about the report, though, the IWA report, there's 1 left.
Right.
Because in the IWA's mind, whenever the iron of the following cycle drops, that's when the new report drops. So it's associated with that cycle, not the previous, even though everything happened in the previous. So that's right. That's one of the things I have to explain to people the most. They're like, well, it happened here. And I was like, well, if you read the name at the top of the report, it's actually the following cycle's name, and it's their report.
Well,
that's weird.
If you listen to the Tubecast, you heard Johnny B's response about why I was listed last for the IWAR 6-man championship teams. And I think I will demand that I'll be referred to me as King of Trios. That's my King of the Trios. I suck. All right. So, last cycle. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Wasn't too bad. So I think, I mean, I should have done better. I think the back ends would kill me. So, we'll deal with it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when we left, we had that one little what was going to hit 44. That was kind of a toss up. So yeah, but unfortunately, it was one of those things you're going to lose a couple points off of it.
But the big news, the big big headline is
that's where I'm
42
starting.
Did not go to 44. So that streak, how was it? 20 cycles, 20 rounds.
Yep. It was actually more. 27.
Johnny B, you monster. I don't think he watches this show. So probably good.
So
Look at that.
It went to 41. We have no idea what happens after this because it's never happened. Do we see a run of 41? Maybe.
Darren's been saying doubles and don't play doubles. Am I right?
Don't play. He says play doubles. He doesn't want anybody else to play them.
Him, Tim Clark, and Zach Gargas are the 3 guys with the championships at the end.
Yeah,
it's their doubles.
So you can almost overthink this. Do you think they're going to really trick you and they're going to go right back to the 42? Are they going to start to the 41? I'm going to go 41 because I feel it's a little safer.
I think I told you already earlier. I'm leaning 41 only because I'd rather take the points and get a 499 and have a title than have a 497 or 496 and be like, because I do a lot of
worst case you get a 42. One's likely a 43. But I feel like there's a good chance we get to see a 44, and it's just going to be a guessing of the next few to see how this reacts. Would I be surprised if you see another 42 somewhere in this cycle? No, but I'm going to go 41 just off of a guess. Yeah, it's gonna take a cycle or 2 to try to figure out what the new pattern is, because much we can figure out from this.
I won't reveal it yet, but I've been doing some modified tracking of my own. It's kind of working, but I want to make sure it works for a while before I reveal it. And then Johnny B will be like, haha, that's done. So
yeah.
What are we looking at here?
All right. So if you listen to me and you take a 41, that takes our backs. So before we do anything, I did the basics. What happened? Gold still 2 cycles ago. Gold
Right.
and iron. And then we've got the 16 backs because 41s and 42s are options. So we're starting out with 272 options. If we commit to 41s, that takes us down to 136. Like I said, I think it's going to be the safer option to go with. Can't do bad off of it. And I feel like there's a greater than 50% chance that it goes up. But
and it's funny. I relate these and think that part of the way I look at it is I'm more trusting to a 44-1 and a 43-1 if the 13 is going to be a real question mark.
Mhm.
That's why I'm looking at it. Like if they give us something to be like, oh man, that's going to be a lot of what's going to happen. I'm more likely to say, okay, I'll go with the reliables. Whereas if it was like, steady Eddie 42 again, I'm like, oh, then when they're going to play something with the 43 and 40, blah blah blah. But
yeah, on the 14-15, it's going to be, or it should be, the 45-1 at 14 because that's hold 90 this cycle. So
yeah,
that's the safe part on the end. Looking at the, is this? Hold on, let's make sure I got the right one. Go to the right. I pasted the wrong guy.
It's the holds from Jade. Oh shit!
Actually, I think that was still actually. Yeah,
Somebody
I just grabbed the
somebody
okay,
did that.
glad I caught that.
That was Justin. Someone told me they used the wrong set of holes. It was Jonathan, maybe. They were like, oh, they had like 484. I was like, what happened? They're like, oh, you used the wrong holes. That sucks.
All right, now this looks better. Yes,
Right,
yeah.
there.
This is gold. The whole 44-1.
So 43-2 has been on a run, huh?
Yep. And that's kind of the that's what you got me right here because I was like, oh, it's not going to go more than 1 or 2. But in the midst of all this 42 thing right here, that's something they also did. If you look, it happened in iron, and theirs went away this cycle.
Aha.
4 in a row anywhere seems to be very unusual. That was the first time it happened here. Never happened here. Never had happened here in this run. Never here. Had a couple 3s here. Had a couple 2s here. So those were pretty unusual.
That's a lot of 44-1s, but that's not uncommon in the gold. So
yeah, for some reason it's not in gold, but we're due to miss one in a cycle or 2. It's the logic though of probably just keep going 44-1s and just don't be upset when you miss the 1 cycle when you got 10 in a row right.
Yeah, well, with my luck, it's the
fight
cycle
with
I need. I need those points in the BRL. I need that league title.
No, you don't. But yeah, don't be surprised if a 44-2 goes pretty soon, as soon as this cycle or the next.
Well, I mean, I'm looking like this as a the non-expert. I'm looking at these charts, and I see that massive streak of 44-1s twice in gold, once in iron, maybe. Not
a little
Jade,
bit.
Not
you get one here.
Okay, a little.
It gets real choppy. Yeah, and that's good that they do it here because you got less options in bronze and jade, so they got to do something like that to
right.
At least give something to where the flow could be awkward on all those 501s that come out of there. So
yeah,
I like that.
Something to stop those guys when they're 20th in a row.
Yeah,
I mean, as the king of trios, I can relate. I'm gonna get a crown for myself. But no, it's like that's a thing to look at and go, okay, like who's that hot streak 43-1s? Now it's a 44-2. Is this the cycle? Yeah. Go 44-1. Just play it safe.
Like I said, if you got a few extra wrestlers, you may do a 44-2.
Well, I could tell you, like with Adam Cash and Tanaka both having shots, maybe one gets a 44-2. Saying, Just saying.
Yeah. Odds are I'm going to have a couple on each, because I think based on what we saw on the whole 43 twos, it'd be a pretty big surprise to see a fifth in a row. But you see, they kind of like streaks here, so who knows?
They do.
But I probably will play the 43 one. So 44 1 and 43 1, I think would be, if I had one strat, that's what I would go with. If you got a couple, maybe rotate in one of these two up here. But I think it's kind of the other thing that we've mentioned before. Yeah, in this entire time of 26 cycles, what is the one thing you notice? Every single cycle, you get at least one of the ones, right?
Right.
So if you go 44 1, 43 1, then you should in gold have at least 145, if not both.
Right. Yeah.
So there's kind of that too, where you won't bottom out with those two.
Well, we were talking before the show about players that like really need help, and I always feel like just if nothing else, go with the reliable stuff, and you're going to score pretty well most of the time.
Mhm.
You know, it's
You at least turn your 488s to 492s, 493s.
like the
feel a
guys that
little
are like
better.
the guys that are hitting like 478s and 481s. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We do this every 3 weeks. We're here. Listen, let us help.
Yeah, you got to work pretty hard to get that low.
Stop killing our chances to win the highest average, you bastards. It's purely mercenary. I want the 10 free matches.
Yeah, we haven't had that in a while. We had that great streak. Was it
Earlier in the year?
It's
Yeah,
like
we got like
2 or
every other
3
cycle.
out of 5? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good hot run. You know, that's back when I wasn't
I
sucking
like
so
that,
much.
though, yeah. But that's kind of the back. I think, like I said, this should come to an end, hopefully, since it did end still. So we'll go to 41 there. That took us down to 8 backs. I feel like you are going to use at least one of these two. So if you look at it, let's see.
Actually, a good example of that is I run Atari with pretty much the safe bets. He does pretty well. Breaking down the numbers.
I just want to see how many that eliminates. If you have to have a 44-1 or 43-1, we already took those out. So we want to look at the 44-2. Okay, so it takes 2 away that way. So the 2-2, we don't think would hit this one up here.
Mm-hmm.
But we think one could go down here, but not both. So we're down to 6 backs. That's 102 options. Okay, so I'll leave the back alone there. Everybody's got to make those few decisions. If you really think that 42 is somehow going to pop back up,
it could, but you could. I always think the thing about that, they could like go right back to 41s for 10 cycles or 10 rounds.
Yep.
And then be like, aha.
Yep. It's a guess.
And I still say we have out there in the looming horizon, eventually that 25s, shake up is going to come. I think it'll be next year, but that's just me.
Yeah, we went pretty much this entire year without anything weird. We had the 42 to 45 here. What was that? Was that even this year? 16 cycles ago. So that was at the end of last year.
Yeah.
We didn't actually have one this year.
Yeah. But
you see, we had extras last year. They did 3 in a 9-cycle span. So maybe it's kind of one of those things over the course of time, it balances out. They put maybe this year's last year. It's a break. But, yeah. Basically, just like I said, you got these 3 to pick from. And as I typically try to do, I want to leave 2, maybe even 4 options here, and condense down to picking one front.
So we have a pretty good set there.
Yeah. Just in case you get one of these wrong, you can still get it right.
And of course, they didn't help us out too much with iron. That would have been, I would have ruled that out anyways. So that's killing us.
Yep. We
damn you, Johnny.
Yeah, so the 28-27, it was iron, and it was our 2 cycles ago here. So, yep, no help there.
Yeah.
Still really didn't help either because it was a 27-27.
Yeah. Would have ruled that out.
Yeah. Now, what I've been saying since, let's see, when was that? We had a double drop a couple cycles ago. Was it right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cycles ago. And I said, when that happened, there shouldn't be another one this year. And I've been right 5 cycles in a row. So I think we can roll one more for a few reasons. A, because of what I was saying, where the same number was hitting every year and we hit our 3. So I'd be surprised if this year had the 4th. It could still. I don't think it will though. But the second part with still being 27s, I looked back at the last 10 times, still was 27-27.
Yeah.
There was not one single double drop in gold.
So the following cycle, you mean, right?
Yeah. No, the same one. Like,
oh, okay.
Like back to back. It's rare that they could do a back to back where double drop happens.
Right.
So that gives a little more
comfort. Yeah. Take out the 26s, take out the 28s. Yeah. Although I told you my early hunch on 28s a cycle.
Yeah. So before I get rid of 28, we
I'm
got
not going to share
our old 2 cycle ago 25s, being one of them was a 28. So you got that flagged. But
I'm not going to share my 492 strategy with you guys anymore. Hit the road. There we go. There's our 5 options. I'm sorry.
People will be taking those 28s though. I know
I can see that. I mean, if I had the extra roster space, oh, why not?
Yeah.
I don't.
But if 29-27 or 29-26 hits, you're going to miss both. And then you're going to have a really bad strat if it doesn't hit. So I worry about that with the double drop all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not taking them, but you're welcome. If you're going to take one, take the 28s. Don't take the 26s. But
right.
You could even, if you really like all these backs, take your 28s and take 6 of these backs.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking it.
Right, Darren?
My warnings.
M, Rob, John. The other guys that don't frequent the double drops.
And they're going to have every single title on the title page.
I'll just as far as doubles go. I played doubles with a bunch of snobs for like 7 years. And after a while, it's like, boy, this ain't really working anymore. So there it is. All right. So now we're looking at our options.
Yep. Get these down a little bit. So 2 cycles ago is 53-45. Last cycle, 3rd straight. I think this is where when we left last time, you were thinking 31 and I was thinking 1. And I think that was the difference in why you didn't do well. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Just that.
Suck City, population me.
But it was close.
Yeah. But no, I liked you also read it out, the 53-45, because that was the exact pairing that dropped 2 cycles ago. So I always think
that was a 29-28 in here.
I want to say they did it one time. I can remember where they did the same
earlier this year. And you thought it was going to be that one, and we marked it off, and it did hit once this year. But that was, I think it was like 2 out of the last 50 cycles that's happened in gold. So it's not worth taking something that happens that little to be right once. So we're gonna mark that one off.
I like it.
Kind of cool that one of these 2 you see is actually in all 4 of the options that we have left in this. So that's a pretty good mix. Sometimes I think it was last time or the time before, it was only like 2 or 3 that had any of them and went across all 4 of one. But yeah, it's a good mix of what could hit off of this. If we like this again, which we've dropped a little bit after these 2, but if we go on a little bit of run, this should get back up to closer to 80%.
Okay.
But yeah, 70% of the time since we've been tracking this, it's still happening.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me to play it.
Yeah, I think it's a good, I would say safe bet, but as far as calculated, like, okay, I'll wager on that. If I was playing roulette and that kept happening, I'd keep playing
Yep.
36 red, which I
And
always
you'd be
play.
up more than you started with.
Right. I want to say too, like, I think, the 22 has kind of been the complement to 25
Mhm.
For a good while now. So I keep looking at that as kind of a safer option. Watch it drop now, but I think it was 33 was the other one that it was strong recently. Um,
33's been,
it's 33,
Had
yeah,
a few
33. So you have the every other. This would be the
33 looks like if it goes to 25, it's almost a guarantee to. It does the back-to-back every time, it seems. So
Oh
that'll be
yeah, that's a
something to
good
note.
point. That's note.
Yeah, the last 3 times.
Note to self.
Yeah, side note. But yeah, we're down to 1, 2. So we got 8 options here. So we got our 6 possible backs, 8 here.
Is it worth noting that a 28 has dropped, 4 cycles ago and 4 cycles before that? So this would be the 4th cycle. So this would be like happening again. Worth considering, or foolhardy mistake?
Might be random there. Might be coincidental. That's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know if that actually means anything. I would need to see it.
I got that
more
idea
than-
from like looking at this chart here and seeing, like, what was the one that was like every few cycles it was happening, or like every 10 or something like that. It was like popping out. Was it 27, 26? It was one of the ones like was like, oh, like clockwork. It was going pretty well. But it's all right. Spin the screen. It's all right. Yeah, I just feel, like as far as, like if I look at 28 and go, okay, I can see, the 45 is the one that drops. 22 is going to go up. I've been kind of leaning that way more often now. That when we identify, like, okay, I think one of the 25s is going to drop. So if this 45 drops, then their partner 22 will go up. That makes sense. I see that happening. So 53 goes up. 53 is what, 26? Is that what it's at now?
3 is a 29 right now.
Oh, 29. Okay, so
Yep.
5.
Yeah. And out of our options, last cycle, 29 28s did not hit. 29 26s didn't hit. 29 27 was from diamond, and 28 26 was from bronze. And if we look down here, you see it's more likely that something that didn't hits in gold. Diamond doesn't happen as much. It's only happened 4 times while we've tracked this, and this was, see, how many is this? 49 cycles, so 4 out of 49, less than 10%.
Wow.
Bronze is a little better, but not much better.
Right. I think it's again.
One thing I started looking at this. I need to fill in gold, but I started doing it for some others. I was curious if there's like a pattern where can it like if it was still, is it possible that it's going to be back to back from one Fed or anything? Pretty random though. I haven't noticed anything yet. Like here was still, you see, or I'm sorry, iron. They had back to back from still, and then they had back to back from gold. But it's kind of scattered throughout what it is. Like the more populars tend to just pop up a little bit, but yeah, like stills become, it was the most popular in here, but it's also becoming even more. So I think you can kind of narrow it down to a few that if you kept using them over time, you're going to be right more than not. And in gold, that would be ones that had not dropped the previous cycle. You'd have, if you just took those, 37% of the time you'd pick the right drop. Not great.
Just the ones
but
that don't
all
drop.
the options. Yeah.
So we're saying, for example, if you're go back to the top there, looking at these options here, if you said, okay, under that math, if I go with 29, 28 or 29, 26, there's a 40% chance I'm right.
Yep.
I see you.
Yeah.
I see you wearing a CM Punk shirt. Are you going to finish out the show by like lambasting Johnny B and like calling out all the
I've got
guys?
a few things to say.
Do you have a muffin there? Do you have a muffin to eat?
No, I wish I did.
So I had my procedure this week. I had a heart procedure done. So the nurse I had who first helped me, this guy named Tyler, he didn't only look like him. He spoke just like Brandon Cutler. Same cadence, same style of talking, like mannerisms. I was like, I wasn't even under medication yet. I was just like, holy shit. It was funny because they were talking
With face mask.
He did. He had a mask on. Oh, you mean the face, the broken nose thing? No, he didn't. And he had hair too, but he was younger. But it was hysterical. I'm like, look at this guy go. He looks just like and sounds just like Brandon Cutler. All I need to do is have a camera, be like, turn over and like Evil Uno's cutting a bit. Yeah, so I thought so you see CM Punk shirt. I'm wearing my crappy I'm at home sweatshirt.
This was in one of the AEW crates. I didn't directly go out and get it. It was just the random shirt. Yeah.
I got a great Lucha Brothers shirt from Scott. So I have that. I have an AEW shirt. And I've been out a couple times and been like, oh hey, and like I think I told the story on Tubecast where I was at work and this guy had it was like I can't think of the rest of it. It was two like WCW era. Like one was he had the guy, the Repo Man shirt, the Repo guy shirt, and the guy had who the hell was it? It was like Powers of Pain or something. I said to him like, if your friend come in with wearing an Alex Wright shirt, I'll give you $10. But he didn't. But yeah. So other questions for players to consider. How much time is left here? Yeah, 10 minutes. That's
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We talked about that. We talked about 42, 25. So when you're placing your 25s, how much do you put into it as far as, because someone asked me, that's why I did the research on the 25s on my side there. Someone had asked me, like, when you're placing tag team holds or 6-man holds or 25s, how much do you go off of what they did before? So that was my genesis of where I started putting that chart together. The one I won't share yet until I make sure it works. But how much thought do you put into that as far as placement? Do you just kind of throw it wherever you want, or do you actually kind of consider
on a multi-strat or a singles? Multi?
Well, let's say multi first.
Okay. So I know they're going to hit, but I always put them, across from each other. So really, you got to look at if it's going to be a 29 or a 28. Because it's literally something like a 90-95%. That's going to be one of the two. It's not going to be both, though. It's never really something they split. Even when it does, you don't have to split it to get it right, because you'll have another hold that'll.
All right.
I clicked on the one time that wasn't true. That was an accident, but yeah, it wasn't true here. But any other time, if you look at this entire list, you won't find one.
I did notice in just my tracking the past, say 12, 14 cycles, 25 with the 26, I think one time, maybe twice, but still that's, pretty good as far as if you're thinking about for singles wrestler, well, keep that out of the 9-10 spot, or, I guess you could put it in there, but I was thinking you want to score. Oh, I always wonder if this thing shows up on the screen when I need it.
It does. I see it at 10 minutes now. Yep.
Aaron was like, maybe we should all pitch in and do it. I'm like, it's free. It's Zoom. It can be crap sometimes.
We can manage it.
Free. Yeah, that's all right.
But in multis, I put them back to back of each other, so you make sure you get the one right. The assumption going in is that it's going to be the 28s. But I always look here and I kind of try to see you see it, you know, there's usually like a 2 or 3 cycle gap, and then it'll pop back over here. So if it's been a couple cycles, I'll put it at 29. But if it's not, it's just going to stay there.
Okay. Looks pretty solid.
Yeah. Like you see, I mean, it's pretty, once it hits there, you keep it until, you know, 2 or 3 cycles. Usually get a little bit of a run when it's at 29. But yeah, as soon as it misses one, put it at 28 the next couple.
And you see that rat bastard score 3 cycles ago where it was like 25s.
Yeah. Singles, yeah, you're right. I don't really put them at 10 often. I usually put it at 9 or an 8 though, because worst case you have a 28 at 20, you know, 9 or 8. That's usually enough to get by in the report. But it's gotten a report to where you have to get that 26 right. So it's yeah, it's getting really tough.
So do you do the Imagimania stuff or do you not bother?
I do some.
Yeah. Well, I saw this year the prize of a year's worth of free Battle Royal entries. That's $17.
Yep.
That's worth it. A reminder, if you're out there and you're thinking about entering the Johnny B Cup or the Murano Memorial Tag Team Tournament, get me your information. Let them know. I have a lot of people telling me, "Oh, I'm going to join." Oh, get it in January start. And of course, we talked about the UWL, and you know, I asked about, is it a faux pas to kick the champion out?
No,
Oh,
like
we
I
had
said,
fun. You're out of here.
kind of just go on a. Yeah, like I always pick the person with the most stars because I want them to go. But yeah, league champion, #1 ranked, however you want to do it. Just somebody you don't like, even though you don't know who most of them are.
Well, I saw the results, and I saw somebody won, like I think it was wrestler won like 62 wins or something like that. Like, holy shit! Like, did you blow 3 match deals?
Yeah, I didn't even. I'm always confused on the first cycle what you're supposed to send in. So I just sent in the one match. I didn't realize people were spending $36+ on.
Yeah, I saw like
first
25 wins swing. I'm like, all right.
But that also makes you a target because yeah, your record's really obnoxious compared to everybody's.
Well, I remember when I was in there last round or whatever last time, I literally forgot to send my matches in because I was like, I don't ever do iron, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't bother sending matches like Monday night or whatever it was. I just totally forgot. So Udall came out and I was like, 5 of my guys were eliminated right away. I'm like, oh well. Enjoy that. Glad I paid for that extra 2 wins. What are you gonna do?
So now here's one more strat thing.
Sure.
Because we were talking about how over the course of a year, things tend to balance out. That's why we didn't want the double drops. 28-26 has happened 3 times this year, and that's going to be rare that you see 4 times. 29-26 has happened 3 times. Pretty rare. That's going to be a 4th. 29-27 and 29-28. Unless I'm missing something, happened once. So I would lean towards those 2.
My
just
God.
kind of another way to get a bit of an edge.
No, that's
like I said, all this is percentages, and yeah, find the most likely, and we're gonna be right more often than not. And that gets us down to 24 that we'd want if we use that logic. So if we use one of the 25s from 2 cycles ago to drop again, it's 545, 53, 22, 53, 33, 53, 40. So 3 out of the 4 are 53.
Yeah.
Are back. We answer those 3 questions, and we can get this 24 down to the 6 or whatever we have in
right.
BRL.
No, it's a pretty it's a good way to narrow it down, especially that way, looking at as far as like times per year. think it's a good way to think about it. Like, yeah, they wouldn't do it again. That's a fourth time. Like, does
Right.
that happen in other feds?
Yeah. Jade had, let's see which one it was. Jade had one that I thought had 4. And I'll make a note. I'll look at the past like 3 years to see if that's happened more than once. But I think Jade's had a 4, but it's pretty rare.
No, it's a
Because like even when you see like the ones that have like here when this one happened, this is in gold. So this happened 4 times in 11 cycles. There's a 4 and 13, but I think this is technically over 2 years. So that's the other thing. You kind of have to look at the year. I'll look at that though and see if it's happened more, but 3 tends to be the limit. Every once in a while you may have a 4, but more likely it's going to be 3 or less.
Do you always look at it like as a sense of like from year to year? Do you ever look at like all time as far as you know?
No, because everything's changed over time. So really you can look at probably 2 or 3 years. I mean, you go back here and you see all the unusual, all these 25s going up. Back then, both 43s could go up, things like that. That things were happening in probably 2019.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the last time we had the 25 change up.
Yeah, it's changed a little more. Part of it's made it a little easier because like you see all the 501s and then you literally can't win with a 26 at 10 at this point. They used to be almost guaranteed to win something in the report, and nope, not anymore. So yeah, it's gotten to where you can kind of track these things like we do and narrow these down to the point where, if you have one no limit league, you're covering all these. So the amount of people that can hit are increasing.
Right.
No.
Oh.
But no, that's where I'm at.
So. Now, as far as like someone mentioned about like the activity in the game, like I don't know if somebody posted in the dungeon or someone made a comment somewhere where they were saying like, oh, whatever's down. But I think was it you that said like we were actually 1,000 wrestlers higher than we were last year?
Not 1,000, like 100.
It's a 2 spreadsheet night, man. I think I did post in our group chat about I always track how many leagues are active each year. I haven't finished 22 yet, but see where we're at. Oh, here we go.
We don't need that far. Okay.
My God, fans.
So yeah, it's literally something that happens every year. People get a little worried when it drops off, but you see October through November, it's always the lowest 3 months. So last year in November, we fell all the way to 4,009 wrestlers. So that's why I'm not too concerned when we were at 4,131. So about 120 more than last year. You can see literally in the first 2 feds of this one. So last year, December went up 480 wrestlers, right? It's already happened in this cycle when the first 2 were already up 135.
Okay.
All the people kind of get their wrestlers back, get organized for the new year. Just happens every single cycle. So by January, we're going to be up probably 800,000 wrestlers. Should be closer to 5,000. Everybody's got all those high hopes. You see a few cycles later when they realize it's not happening and it starts to drop off.
Right.
Then the